It's refreshment time, folks.
I have to return some videotapes.
Are either one of these any good?
I don't watch movies.
Do you like scary movies, Sydney?
You have a TV?
No. I just like to read the TV guide. Read the TV guide. Don't need a TV.
Books, records, films, these things matter. Call me shallow. It's the fucking truth.
Over 1,600 titles, each for rent at just $2 the first night, and only
Finish it.
I don't watch TV.
Yeah, but you are aware that there's an invention called television, and on this invention they show shows, right?
Tonight on 6 Ed World.
Okay, I want channels 18, 24, 63, 109, 87, and the Weather Channel.
Welcome to the Frog Brothers Podcast with your hosts, Justin and Alec.
Hello, kids, and welcome to episode 53 of the Frog Brothers Podcast.
The Frog Brothers Podcast, you say?
Yeah.
Oh, no!
Yeah. I am your co-host, Justin. With me is Alec, my brother, co-host. And intern Nick is over there flipping away on his phone, looking at pictures of buttholes. Actually, it's kind of weird because he's looking at his own again.
Before and after.
His bleaching.
Yeah, not just mine. Before and after photos of anal bleachings.
Just in general?
Mm-hmm.
Are you trying to find a good doctor? Good.
Well, I've been doing it myself with the kit, but
it's not working as well as it used to.
Starting to burn.
Well, you're only supposed to leave it on there for so long.
Yeah, fall asleep sometimes.
Yeah, that's weird.
Wait.
It's real weird. Speaking of real weird, you know they moved the Godzilla versus King Kong date by like a half a week to the fucking Wednesday. Who releases a fucking movie on a Wednesday?
I think they moved it a while ago. We're just now
I
realizing
told them
it.
this
So
a long time ago, and they forget.
no, they've moved it so many times that when you say that they moved it again, we don't know what fucking move you're talking about. It's their fault for being so goddamn confusing and not knowing when we're releasing this bullshit.
When they moved it to the current date a long time ago.
No one gives a fuck what you're saying right now.
It's the first time you've ever spoke into the mic like a grown-up adult, and you're running your fucking mouth.
I spoke.
Don't
touch
you
it.
down, you fucking
Don't touch
twat.
it.
A child.
A child.
What was that other one you said you were going to add?
I don't know.
He added a lot.
Oh, from the movie we're covering today about the snakeskin.
So, I was looking forward to seeing Godzilla versus Kong next weekend.
Yeah.
And then they got to fucking release it on a Wednesday. Like, really? Who the fuck puts out a movie on a Wednesday? Is that because Easter's that following weekend or what?
Yeah, they usually put out shitty movies on Wednesdays. I don't know what the deal is with that. Maybe they're just like, fuck it, days mean nothing to me anymore.
Well, usually it's only around a holiday weekend or a long weekend that they'll do that shit. So, yeah, because everyone wants to go see Godzilla versus Kong before Easter.
Yeah. I mean, who gives a fuck about Easter anyway?
At least we can watch it at the theater.
No shit, Sherlock.
Yeah.
Hey, but we got some show and tell. I found the Hot Wheels 99-cent Scooby-Doo mystery machine. Pretty cool.
Why are you covering my face with it? What the fuck are you doing?
Trying to show the lighting in there. Really,
You're doing fucking awful. Look at
that's
this.
hilarious.
Look, can you see that?
No, I just was covering your face because it's fucking grotesque to me.
Is this the? Can you see it?
Hey, this'll infuriate anybody. So, has anyone here bought anything from Anovos? Raise your hand.
Me, you can't see me raising my hand, but I've spent.
So I have an
Way
Anovos
too much.
Proton Pack, which I canceled my pre-order for, and then I bought it on like a.
Specify which one you got.
Well, no, I didn't buy the fucking
You got the kit.
Spangler.
Yeah, that's $500 off right now. You can get it for less than $4,000.
Yeah, with no sound too. Oh, cool. And so after that, and everything else I've ever bought from them didn't ship for shit. But they had a sale last week for your stimulus money, and they had some of their patches. So I bought 4 of these bad boys on sale for $3.99 each.
I have that patch on my Gibson and Barnes tan suit.
And they shipped on Saturday, and they arrived here on Monday from California.
Who gives a fucking shit?
Unfucking real. If you bought from Anovos, getting something in 2 days is like holy fucking shit.
Their in-stock stuff does ship quick. It's just their pre-order stuff takes
Holy shit!
forever.
And as we're covering along the show and tell, got a Twin Peaks book here for you kids. Yeah, that's a real nice one there. Waiting on the other ones to
Twin
arrive.
Peaks book. I like that.
That's the novel. Twin Peaks.
The novel. No.
A novel. See? Read the book. Secret History
of Twin Peaks.
McCain. Secrets. So that's one there. If you don't know McCain's Secrets, I'd highly recommend you look those up. Who likes Silver Records?
There's a movie on there.
Last Boys on Silver Record, also known as Laserdisc. Not to be confused by people like Nick that try to send us videos of or images of things that aren't Laserdiscs.
It said Laserdisc on it, but I didn't think it was.
I didn't read the packaging.
What a wiener. But I'd never seen that form of movie either.
And Twister on...
I think it's called video disc. It looks like a big
Laserdisc.
floppy disk, basically.
Yeah, he likes big flocky discs in his mouth.
I've never seen that before.
It's got this Cinefex issue with Twister in it.
What's the player look like?
Just like a big fucking floppy disk taker.
We got Twister, the original screenplay by Michael Crichton. That's a great one there. Let's cover Alex's face up again over here. And last, but certainly not least, we got Twister, the Science of Tornadoes and the Making of an Adventure Movie. If you haven't noticed, we're on a Twister kick.
Oh, yeah. That's because of the upcoming adventure, which we'll tell you more about later.
We'll tell you one part of an adventure right now because it's coming soon. We will be going to some sites that were used to film the film Twister in Iowa. And we will also be visiting the Des Moines Movies pop-up. Big Kevin Smith fans here, so we're going to make that journey, get some video.
Enjoy.
So that'll be coming up there next couple of weeks there for you folks.
Yeah. So
sign outside should have told you. Did I say the sign outside should have told you? What the fuck am I, retarded? Sign out front should have told you. I hate me too. You're not the only one.
Yeah. So there's a little bit of news we'll talk about real quick, as well as I guess I'm going to go through my show and tells this week. I bought this like a couple weeks ago, actually, but I didn't show it off or anything. It's the Bumpy Ankylosaurus from Jurassic Park Camp Cretaceous.
Not to be confused with the Bumpy Dildo that Nick bought that just has nubs on it.
I bet I could fit this in my butt, though. Onlyfans.com/
Jurassic Butthole.
Jurassic Dong or something like that. I don't know. We'll figure it out. Well, there's a joke there. Here's a couple DVDs I got. Tonight's one of our features we're talking about. Actually, two of them. David Lynch's Wild at Heart, starring Nicolas Cage and Laura Dern.
He's not wearing his jacket on the cover. What the fuck?
That's my snakeskin jacket.
And for me, it's a symbol of my individuality and my belief in personal freedom.
Also, we're covering Bean tonight, so, you know, I picked those up last week. But also picked up Cronenberg's Criterion Collection of Crash, which stars James Spader and Holly Hunter, so we're going to check that out at some point. And Jawbreaker with Rose McGowan. You ever seen that? It's kind of fucked up. It's similar to like Heathers.
Definitely similar to Heathers.
Got a couple VHS tapes too at Goodwill.
This is the only copy of Wizard of Oz I own on any format, and I'm okay with that.
If
I
were the king of the forest.
You know, had to get Hercules. Had to have a couple Disney classics for the kids section.
Is that Whoopi Goldberg that's in that?
She does the voice of Hercules.
James Woods, Danny DeVito.
Who's the one that's saying Hercules, 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 Hercules?
Jesus Christ.
That was from the Nutty Professor.
Oh, that was. Goddamn.
Justin's fucking nuts.
It was Eddie Murphy playing
and,
woman.
you know, Ace Ventura, which I have When Nature Calls on VHS, so now I have the set, which brings us to other news, which is that Ace Ventura 3 might be happening. I don't know how to feel about that. I'm just going to have to just not think about it until I see a trailer and then feel emotions. I don't know what those will be, but...
Yeah, just kind of like, I don't know.
Yeah.
I mean, Jim Carrey can be great when he wants to be. Does it depend? Depends really on his personal life and his mood.
Yeah.
If he's in a real manic phase, he could do an amazing Ace Ventura 3. But Do we need Ace Ventura 3?
I don't know.
Neither do I. I can't answer that question.
I just don't
We definitely don't need it. No.
You shut the fuck up. You don't know a goddamn thing. Sorry, that may have been a little bit too mean. Hey, could you refrain yourself from lashing out irrationally because I don't sure you know as much as you think.
Friendship again?
There you go. You apologized.
Yeah, he found the weird
Friendship.
Friendship. So what's everybody up to out in the world?
There's also a new Mortal Kombat trailer. It's not like that new. I don't think they're pushing it and talking about it a lot, but I did see a different cut version of it. It has a few what looks like new clips in it. Nothing spectacular that jumped out at me, though. And then you said you saw a Resident Evil poster, which made me decide to look up, okay, what is this? I remember Netflix talking about they're doing something with this.
The teaser poster I saw said, "Welcome to Raccoon City," and it was by Sony Pictures doing the teaser, so you did some research, and tell us the results.
There are apparently 3 Resident Evil things in production right now. From what I can tell, there's a CGI movie, a live-action movie,
Ooh,
and a show. And I don't know what the show is. It's not clear if it's animation or live-action. And I think the CGI movie and the show are Netflix.
Very
and
nice.
then there is, I don't know if that movie is going to be a Netflix thing or not, but it wouldn't surprise me if they had all three of those things. But I don't know what the deal is with those, and we're just going to have to wait and see what time will tell with those. But the live-action movie is what sounds most interesting so far, because it actually has a lot of characters from it. It includes the mansion in Raccoon City, So
the other big news is Falcon and Winter Soldier released, so we'll talk about that on Water Cooler Cult. But the Snyder Cut released. So could you raise your hand or speak up if you've seen that version of it? You watched that already?
Ooh.
You watched it?
Yeah.
When did you have time to watch it? 4-hour fucking movie. What are you doing with
Well, I
your life?
watched 2 hours at a time.
Oh.
So I watched one half.
Well, Alec and I haven't watched it yet. Alec is really adamant that we shouldn't watch it. I've kind of suggested it a few times, and he looks at me like I just want to stab you when you even mention it.
It's kind of divided up into 30-minute segments, too, so if you don't want to watch only a little bit at a time, it's actually kind of, like, text comes up, part 1, part 2.
I'm just like...
I've seen mixed reviews on it. I've seen, I'd say 75% of what I've seen people say they liked it better than the original cut.
Yeah, but...
And then 25% of people saying they fucked it even worse. So I'm just like, I'm
not sure I've seen anyone say that.
I've seen a few.
I've seen a couple people, but not many.
I've seen mostly positive.
And I've seen people who think both of them suck ass. And I think that's probably where I'll fall, because I have not liked anything from this Snyderverse that I've seen.
Yep.
Yeah.
So we haven't seen it. So if you have, throw your opinion in the comments or on our social medias and let us know. Should Alec and I subject ourselves to this? Because we really can't trust Nick's opinion on stuff because, well, if you've ever heard Nick talk, you understand that sometimes he has strange and unusual opinions on things.
I myself am strange and unusual.
Water cooler, cult, cult, cult. 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 Water cooler, join the cooler, water cooler, join the cooler, water cooler, drink it up, water cooler, join the water cooler cult.
Welcome to Water Cooler Cult.
Hey, so the Falcon and Winter Soldier premiered on Disney Plus.
The Falcon and the Winter Soldier.
So what'd you guys think of this first episode?
I might tell you sometime. It was interesting. I liked what they did with it. It's just an intro episode, first of all. A lot of too many people went into this, and it's like they didn't see the trailer or something. Like everybody's talking about this new Captain America, and not only does this tell me that these people don't read comics, and I'm one of those people, but I at least do research on the comics.
You know how to use the internet.
So I know who U.S. Agent is. I know roughly things about him. I understand some people intentionally don't read stuff about the comics if they haven't read them so that they won't be spoiled, because sometimes it's like that. I understand that. But that's just where the hype is right now. And I'm like, you know what? What stands out in this episode is the fucking character development, mainly with Falcon, Anthony Mackie. I mean, you get a little bit of it with Bucky too, but I think the other one's the one that stands out.
You're really starting to see the character development that you don't have time for in the movies for some of these side characters, which you can appreciate, right? Because the Falcon's just always kind of been there as Steve Rogers' backup man. And so you see him coming back into his life and how fucked up his family's life is, his sister's life is all that stuff, and trying to deal with all that trauma. And he's still trying to do what's right. And then people are asking him, like, do you get paid for doing superhero stuff? Which I thought was pretty interesting dialogue piece there, right? You know, how that's based on goodwill and everything else. Because, how do you afford to do this, right? Yeah, some of that's government intervention and stuff like that. So I do like how they address that in a real-world setting.
Yeah, it's it was fascinating. You know, you got to see some of his family and stuff like that, some more backstory there. And then, you know, you got a little bit with Bucky and his guilt and stuff. And so you can definitely tell that the point of this show and the arcs are going to be about Bucky's guilt and him overcoming that, as well as Anthony Mackie coming to terms with not thinking he's good enough to take up the mantle.
Yes.
But turning out and realizing that he fucking is, and he's a boss. So that's what this is going to be, and I'm pretty stoked for it.
The interesting piece is, spoiler alert for those who may have not read the comics, but both of these characters have taken up the mantle of Captain America in the comics over the years. So,
yeah, this is only a 6-part series, is what they're saying. So that, you know,
I think it'll be pretty straightforward and more action packed.
Going forward,
forward from here. But I still think we're going to have a significant amount of downtime to explore character development.
Yeah, I definitely think they're going to pick up and get the plot moving in the next episode. It's a lot more straightforward than anything crazy going on like in WandaVision. So
the thing that I got really from Bucky's story so far is that, you know, he's on a redemption path. So I think this is going to be very much a more serious version of My Name is Earl, you know, like we're going to kind of see him go back and revisit a bunch of things in the past and try to make things right.
My name is Earl.
Exactly.
And Ethan Suplee will be with him.
I hope so. God, that'd be cool.
So remember, the beginning of this episode was actually pretty fucking cool with the whole sequence with Falcon working with the military in an operation. And Red Wing, and it was basically like that scene in Independence Day when Will Smith is outrunning the aliens.
Yeah, they go through the
desert and the canyons there.
Yeah, the desert canyons. That was a really awesome shot. And then they go through, what's the LAF organization?
Because you know what, it reminded me not of just Captain America, but it definitely has vibes of like the first Iron Man too, of like warfare in the desert and shit. It's pretty cool.
Yeah, it really brought you back to some of that classic MCU stuff with these characters that are a little more straight action-driven, and that really opened the show up in a great way to have so much action, see what's going on with these characters, and then you kind of slow down a little bit and say, hey, you know, we kind of open up with a bang, and then even when you first see Bucky, you're like, okay, what the hell's going on? Because he still has his other arm on, and then...
Oh, yeah, Rhodey's cameo in here.
Yep.
That's pretty cool.
Don
See right
Cheadle,
off the bat, you know?
And even Don Cheadle, I love how he poses that difficult question to him, like, hey, why didn't you take up the mantle? Which, coming from somebody like War Machine, who has the reputation and insight, you know, because they're both men that have been in the military, served in the military, and so I think that insight's really going to be what pushes his story arc. So I kind of hope to see him a little bit more in a mentor role for the Falcon going forward throughout this series. I don't think he'll be a major player in action sequences, but I think maybe as a spiritual guide, you'll kind of see him pop up a few more times.
Yeah. I definitely really like both of those characters and their arcs over the story, so it was cool to see him put in there because you don't know how much more you're going to see of him in this stuff, you know.
Well, then you have the Flag Smashers. There's a lot of stuff getting set up in here. And then we have that other character. I didn't happen to catch his name, but who's working with the Falcon at the beginning of the show. Did either of you guys get his name?
Captain Vassant.
Okay, yeah. And he's...
LAF.
Yeah, and the way they set him up, you just don't know what he's doing. You just don't really know if he's is he a bad guy? Is he instigating shit? Like, you really don't know. They kind of make him ambiguous enough that, like, you could see him being a good guy but still being a bad guy somewhere in between. Like, his allegiance may not be known yet even within himself with what's going on here.
Yeah.
Like, he seems like someone that's investigating the cause but could easily be flipped to the cause.
I do like how they're showing Bucky's stuff where he's going back and fucking over Hydra people that he remembers and can still process that, and see he's going back and fucking with those people and getting them busted, and he's not like he's being a bit of a dick when he does it, but he's not like going full Batman or anything, you know, on it.
Yeah, he's not going to the level that you know he's capable of, which I think is interesting, right? He's showing a level of restraint that we've never seen him need to show before.
Oh man, I'm just gonna have to.
Yeah, I got in there. It snuck through.
Oh yeah.
So did you actually watch this, Nick, or are you too busy watching Snyder?
No, I watched it.
Do you have any thoughts, opinions?
Mm-hmm.
Would you care to enlighten us?
Mm-hmm.
Alrighty then.
Yeah, I liked the opening action sequence. It was, I think, almost came off better quality than some of the WandaVision action sequences, like the battles and stuff.
Well, it's a different type of battle, I think.
Yeah, it may just be because the background in WandaVision was all that purple dome and everything. Maybe it just kind of looked wonky, but
yeah.
And I,
I don't think it looked bad or anything, but it was definitely more of a fantasy vibe. And this is, like I said, that battle reminded me of a lot of like the first Iron Man movie, where it's based way heavy in reality.
Yeah, that's
so. Like I kind of like that.
Yeah,
that
I like
contrast.
the contrast to each other, because even though we know these characters can interweave together, like they can still.
Yeah, it's great seeing that Marvel is still very vast in its. Like both of these events are potentially happening roughly around the same time. Potentially, you know. Like, we don't know exactly when they are. And
seems like this one's just right after Endgame.
Well, that's what I mean. Like, you don't exactly know. But the other one was right after Endgame, too, at some points.
Yeah, this might be the same time as WandaVision.
But, yeah, I just like how versatile they still are, because I'm super stoked to see what comes this year, including this third Spider-Man movie. So,
yeah, the other piece that I really enjoyed just getting to know Bucky's story in this was when he's talking to his therapist about, you know, for 80 years all I've known is conflict. And, you know, aside from a short rest in Wakanda. So, like, that's the most he's ever taken himself, and that was more physical healing than mental healing, I think. But I would love to see more background about what he did with Shuri and how she was able to help him when he was in Wakanda. So I hope we get a few flashbacks to that.
Yeah. Yeah, that'd be interesting. Those would be good flashbacks to see. I'm interested about what they're going to do with that stuff, too. Just Wakanda. Just hearing Wakanda again, you're like...
And then with his arm, you know, I like how they're covering up with the jacket and a glove and just kind of keeping it simple. Like, right, you don't need to wear that for every action or for every sequence you're shooting in a TV series, right? It's for comfort and stuff.
People compare him to Mark Hamill, and that just makes it funnier.
Oh, yeah.
Robot hand.
Exactly.
Mm-hmm.
I think we were debating if you think he jerks himself off with that hand, and if he does it with the glove on, or is he just, like, what I would probably do is hold on to, I'd get like a really nice fleshlight, and I'd still use that hand, because then it'd be like a stranger. Like, I mean the stranger, like if you sit on your hand, you know what the stranger is, Nick?
Wouldn't you be like pinching your dick skin with where the fingers?
That's why I'm saying you hold on to a fleshlight.
No, I mean if you just jerked off.
That's why he's saying you wouldn't do that, because you could hurt yourself.
That would be the point. But I'm saying, would you just do it anyway? Because it'd be like being jerked off by a robot. And what if you are like...
But either way, you might get too excited and squeeze it too hard.
I don't know. How long does it take to practice of that? I mean, you can ask the same thing about Luke Skywalker when he got his prosthetic hand.
Mm-hmm.
What's the assessment time and time to acclimate before you're willing to...
Do you think he could make his fingers go like...
behavior?
Like, you know, like have a mechanical thing and then do that to his own butthole? Or to a lady friend, I guess, but...
I like how your first thought is to his own butthole. You're like,
that's what I was thinking. Well, because I was talking about masturbating, and then I was like, well, he might want to go around to the fun hole. So you never know what Luke Skywalker's into.
This is true.
Incest.
Anyway.
Oh, Jesus! Oh, God! Oh, Jesus! God! Oh, Mary, Mother of Jesus! Jesus! Nazareth.
So, you got anything else about this show to say?
No, I'm all good. You went where you wanted to go with it, and I let you.
I didn't go anywhere specific. We talked about this when we watched the show, so it's only logical that we talk about it now.
Yes. Superhero sex organs. Alec is obsessed.
Justin likes to pretend he doesn't like to talk about penises. He likes to let me bring them up so I can take the credit for being all the weird, and then he can get his secret pleasure from talking about superhero sex organs.
He does superhero sex organs vicariously through you.
Yes.
Another man's garbage is another man's gold. Leave all the nostalgia horse, just wait till you get old. Another man's garbage is another man's treasure. I know that you will hate it, and that gives me pleasure. Another man's garbage.
Another man's garbage this week is Bean from 1997, starring Rowan Atkinson and Peter McNichols.
So this is set in the Ghostbusters 2 universe.
For sure. I mean, the judge is in it. Janosch has, graduated. He's moved out from
He's still working
New
in
York.
art.
He's moved to L.A. He's working at an art museum there now. He's their curator.
Yeah, so he's gotten a promotion.
And then it turns out that they are importing a painting, which I just liked to pretend was Vigo the whole time. Because it's funner that way, I think, instead of Whistler's mother.
Yes.
I saw this movie as a kid 100,000 fucking times. I also really liked Bean as a kid, Mr. Bean shows, and I would catch them on cable sometimes. I don't even remember where they were replayed in America, but I definitely watched some growing up as a kid, and this show was on all the time, or the movie, rather, and I always loved it, but watching it as an adult, there's just a different hilarity to it than I enjoyed as a kid, and I had a great time watching it, so.
Yeah, it's entertaining for sure. It's not like a movie that you're going to be like, oh my God, I've got to watch this, but you'll get some good laughs in.
No, yeah, you definitely have got to watch this. I wrote down some of these, my favorite bits. Yeah, you do. Justin has bad taste. Come on, let's be honest here. There's the vomit bag bit. That's fucking hilarious. He's like trying to make this sick kid feel better on the airplane, and he tries to pop his M&M bag over the sleeping guy. And I'm looking at our screen here, and I just see Justin staring into the camera, just like, so it looks like he's staring at me through the screen. It's pretty fucked up. No, so the kid vomits in a bag, and Bean's looking around for another bag, and then he sees the kid has the bag. He doesn't realize he's vomited in it, and he pops it above this guy's head, and there's puke everywhere.
And it's really PG in the way they did it, because you just see like some green stuff spray in the air. You don't see it land on anyone's face or any chunks or anything exciting. So
yeah, but I mean,
you get the point
fact
across.
that they showed any vomit of it at all was surprising to me. I was expecting it to just like cut and you hear screaming and like splashing, and then he goes into the airport, and then he does the fake gun bit. And when he sees the police with the guns, and that always fucking makes me laugh. He ends up getting chased through the fucking airport. That's a good bit.
Yeah.
Peter McNichols in this movie. It's amazing. What can I say? What do you got to say about it?
Peter McNichol is interesting in this because for someone that has like every justifiable reason to like lose his fucking shit and beat the ever-living fuck out of this guy, he's like fucking Morgan Freeman narrating something. He's calm, cool, and collected. I mean, even at his most on edge, like when he thinks things are going to die, he still shows up to his job. He could have easily just fucking aborted mission, ran and hid.
It's residual effects from the mood slime.
Exactly.
Yeah.
It just feels like $1 million.
Yeah. Well, I love you too.
If everything you're doing is bad, I want you to know this.
The two-way mirror bit when the police have him after he's fucked up the ride at the amusement park on the boardwalk, and he's just like doing stupid shit in the mirror. Like, that was one of my favorite bits in a movie ever when I was a kid. And it just made me fucking lose my shit. Oh, the pants. When he wets his pants in the bathroom, that whole ordeal is fucking hilarious. And then he ends up shoving his crotch in people's face when it's finally dry and shit.
Yeah, because at first it looks like he's fucking the hand
Exactly.
hand dryer. And
that's the guy who's the camp counselor in Heavyweights.
Mm-hmm.
Who sees him in there and he's like, what the fuck? And then once he finally gets him dry, he accidentally wets him again, and then it's fucking hilarious.
Yeah, it's pretty good. I'm trying to think of other standout moments, like when he's carrying the painting of Whistler's mother to take it down and then go figure out how he's going to fix it.
And he
get
has
it out
the
of there.
tablecloth thing on it,
Yeah, he's
basically.
got the tablecloth on it, acting like he's a caterer, and then like he sees another caterer go by and he like fucking flips it on edge, and like the other guy's like, wait a second, what the fuck? I thought he was pushing a cart.
He goes like looks at something, so the guy looks away, and then he just like puts it on the edge. That bit's hilarious.
And then the other thing they do is they go all Spaceballs on the stupid merchandising for it. They're like, oh yeah, all the Whistler's mothers, like, what do they have, like a coffee mug and like a bunch of other bullshit.
There's like a Whistler's father's beer mug, and then there's like Whistler's sister or whatever, and it's fucking
topless,
the naked body or whatever. And they're like, are you serious? And they're like, oh yeah.
And then like, Bean is such an idiot the whole time, and then he has this stroke of genius where he's like, oh, I can just take this on there, and then he like puts a layer of texture on top of it to make it actually look like a painting, and you're like, it's not fucking bad.
Yeah, no,
I mean, a lot of people will do that with the print to make it look like a painting in their own home, so like that's a common technique that people will use. So it's hilarious to see that like this bumbling idiot figures out a way to do it.
Yeah, it's definitely fascinating.
And then his
I love the fucked up face though that he ends up that paints on the first one, and just David's reaction to when he comes in there and he's like, the painting's not there, and he's fucking freaking out because he's fucking ruined it. He's demolished that painting.
Yes.
Because he sneezes on it, then he goes to wipe his sneeze off of it, and he wipes ink on it from his pocket because his pen burst. And then that's when he does the tablecloth bit and takes it to like a side room, and then gets some paint thinner and fucking puts it on there and wipes it off, and he's like, oh, it's all good. And then it just is basically fucking melting the old paint on there, and he screws it over, and he ends up drawing this goofy-ass face on it.
Of course, that was a meme for a while when they botched that Jesus painting restoration.
Because it looks like that. You remember that?
Yes, I do. That's great. No, so it's a fun, entertaining movie. Like, anyone can watch it, all ages, right? It's very family-friendly.
Whistler's mother just had Carpathian kitten loss.
Yes.
And that's a real painting, too.
Yep.
If no one knew.
Yeah.
And Bean is interesting because when he created this character, he wanted something that he didn't need a lot of dialogue for, right? And his dialogue lines in this movie are very minimal. And in fact, you really don't need him to say anything, but when he does speak, he kind of has that low tone in his voice, which is hilarious just because he's so awkward, even in when he speaks.
Mm-hmm.
But it's all based on his reaction to things and just so much in the facial expression, right? I mean, in the physical comedy of it. It's like Chevy Chase without having dialogue. And it's pretty entertaining for that aspect when you look at it in that way.
He's great. Big
then
fan.
They stuff the turkey, which is pretty disgusting.
Yeah, that whole turkey bit is taken from the show. And according to Nick, I believe, what is it? There's it's not in the British version?
The American version has a lot of bits from the TV show, and then like the European version has more original content, but I've never seen it myself.
Interesting.
But yeah, we should definitely track that down if it exists.
Track it down.
Because if you're really familiar with the show, then some of those things are, like, yeah, I've already seen this.
Yeah.
So it's not as good. But
well, like the turkey on the head bit is one of the most unfunny Mr. Bean bits to me anyway. Like that's about as dumb as his comedy gets for me. So
I think it's cumulative for everything else that happens in that episode.
I guess so.
And
I do remember that episode because it was on the VHS tape I had that was like, very best of Mr. Bean. Remember one of the other ones was, he's always fucking with that other car.
That three-wheeled car.
Yeah, there's a three-wheeled car that he's always like backing into fucked up spaces and
over.
fucking destroying it. And then there's one where he goes off a high dive. He's like at the pool. Some weird-ass fucking shit in there, but...
The one where he has a couple guys over for a New Year's party is one of my favorites.
I don't remember that one.
There's like 3 episodes spanning like a New Year's Eve weekend.
Obviously, you got Harris Yulin, who's the judge in Ghostbusters 2, so there's your other connection.
Yep, and you might recognize him from Ozarks as well. If you're familiar with that program.
I haven't watched it yet.
What the fuck's wrong with you?
I usually wait till they're over to binge them.
That is a lie.
Mm-mm.
You didn't do that with WandaVision.
I said usually, and I got to watch that for the podcast.
So what you're telling me is if there's something you're wanting to wait and watch, we can just cover it on here and I can fuck up your plan.
Yeah.
I like it. Diabolical situations.
We can watch Ozarks. It was filmed in Georgia, though.
What was? The porno?
Ozark.
Yeah.
Yeah, I know. That's what's... It's fucking hilarious. I'm like, you couldn't just film it in there. I mean, I get it.
Now, if you've
it
been
still
to
looks like...
Yeah. Well, if you've been to the Ozarks looks a lot more fucking shitty than a lot of what they show in there.
Oh, yeah. But, I mean, they still show... That's why... I mean, that show does pretty good. Look at how shitty those people are that live there.
Yes.
I watched some of one episode, and I'm like, I don't know if I ever want to go to the Ozarks again.
Did you straighten it?
What?
I watched some of one episode once, but I straightened it.
Had part of a Slinky.
Exactly.
Had part of an episode of Ozark.
You got anything else to say about Bean here?
Nope, I'm all beaned out.
Are we going to cover the sequel one day?
It's unlikely.
No.
It's possible, but unlikely. I haven't watched it, so I would have to watch it before I would make Justin watch it, and it's probably... I just have a feeling it couldn't live up to this one, because Peter McNichol is half of what this movie is for me, because his reactions... He reminds me of Steve Martin in Planes, Trains, and Automobiles. Like, he's just losing his shit, and he's so fucking stressed, and he's just like, God damn it, I can't fucking... I keep fucking this up, and this guy's fucking my shit up. My wife's leaving. So that's that, but I guess we'll hit up the old...
Top 5, 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 top 5.
This is top 5.
This is top 5.
This is the top 5.
You're blowing out people's speakers.
We sound like the Coneheads when they're fucking.
Therefore, you must nurse with the
Like
Garthak.
on the audio tape, you remember that? When they're fucking listening to it?
Yeah, I watched that movie not that long ago.
I have that on DVD, and I have it on DVD.
Yeah, I've watched that in the last couple months just because it's so great.
Nicholas here picked our top 5.
Mm-hmm.
What is it?
Top 5 songs made specifically for a film.
Fascinating. Does that mean... I mean, you say that now, but I don't know if we worded it that way before. Is it songs written for a movie? Or songs made for a movie? Because made implies recorded, which implies it could be a cover. So theoretically, Whitney Houston doing I Will Always Love You would qualify under what you just said, but if it was written for it, it wouldn't because Dolly Parton originally wrote that song.
It was completely originally created for the movie.
Originally?
Yes.
Okay.
It never existed before.
Songs written for movies.
Yes.
There we go.
Alrighty then.
I thought I was being more specific the way I worded it, but I guess not.
I just wanted to clear that up. That's all. That's all.
Alec, what's your number 5?
Number 5?
Mm-hmm.
Number 5 is Falling by Julie Cruz and Angelo Badalamenti from Twin Peaks. Technically a TV show, but, we decided to include it. I did, because it's basically the Twin Peaks theme song, slightly different, with Julie Cruz singing on top of it. She sings it at the bar in I think the first episode. So.
Very nice.
Mm-hmm.
Very nice choice.
Was that the one you said was kind of a cheat?
Mm-hmm.
Okay.
What's your number 5, Nick?
From 1977. Staying Alive by Bee Gees for Saturday Night Fever.
You're a weird guy, Ace. Weird guy.
Yeah. I'm just like, Now I wouldn't be surprised if Celine Dion was on your list.
Yeah.
Stay tuned.
I'm really questioning what other kind of trash you put on there.
Staying Alive is a great song.
If you're a child molester.
Yeah, no, that's a terrible song. The Bee Gees have a lot better music, and they also, I don't know, man, I can't listen to the falsetto of Bee Gees. You know, maybe some early psychedelic Bee Gees, but nah.
It's very corny.
But who am I to judge?
Oh, that's what we're here to do.
Exactly.
We are here to judge.
What's your number? Did you already give us your 4?
No, I didn't give my number 5 yet.
Your 5, that's what I mean.
Don't You Forget About Me by Simple Minds from The Breakfast Club, number 5 there.
Didn't John Hughes write the lyrics to this?
I think he wrote some of the lyrics.
They presented it to the band, yeah.
The score, whoever's working on the score to this film,
he helped write it too.
Yeah, they all wrote this song and then presented it to Simple Minds because they kind of wrote it in their style, so that was their number 1.
And it's their only fucking song that everybody knows by them, too. It's funny.
Exactly.
They didn't even write it.
They really didn't want to do it originally, and then they kind of circled back to it after having other people turn it down and decided we'll go ahead and give it a shot because they wanted to have their artistic integrity. And that was the only song that ever really charted over here for the U.S. for them. So
interesting. Well, my number 4 is from a very liked movie here on this podcast. The song's called Cry Little Sister from Gerard McMahon from The Lost Boys. In that film, the instrumental version is used exclusively until the scene where Michael and Star fuck in the cave. And then they're like,
Cry, little sister, thou shalt not fall, unchain me, sister.
I was doing the Bee Gees version.
That's amazing.
You can tell by the way I cry, little sister, I'm a vampire.
Didn't you cover this song?
I didn't cover it. It's not called covering when you take the instrumental and sing some dirty lyrics on top of it.
Not then.
Yeah, that's the only time I ever did.
What song am I thinking of?
He just did an advertisement of it.
Yeah, I did an advertisement where I just said...
Advertisements.
You know, this is the Frog Brothers podcast. And sure,
all right, Nick, what's your number 4?
My number 4 is We Have All the Time in the World by Louis Armstrong for the movie On Her Majesty's Secret Service, the James Bond film in 1969, which is also his last recording.
Who gives a fucking shit?
That's perfect timing.
Fucking A, man.
Well,
yeah, I'm the only James Bond fan here.
I mean, I've watched James Bond movies.
I mean, if you're going to have a James Bond song, the clear winner is Live and Let Die. There has been no other song that was written.
This wasn't a title song for the film.
I'm saying, though, but like that's the best James Bond song that's been written.
Which one did you say?
Live and Let Die. It's just the best one that's been written for the titles. And I actually did put that on my honorable mentions.
I'd say a close second would be Duran Duran's A View to a Kill.
Yeah, a lot of people like that one. But I prefer other Duran Duran songs. That's like I don't really like that one. What's your number, Schlong?
My number 4, and thanks for asking, by the way, is from Huey Lewis and the News, from Back to the Future.
Which one?
Back in Time.
All right, I can appreciate that. I like that one better than Power of Love as well. So
Power of Love is super catchy, but Back in Time, I just really love the tempo and the upbeat.
I love that the lyrics are a little bit better for me.
Yes.
I like that it's more
more
oriented
directed
that
about
way.
the movie. Yeah, really makes more sense.
Those songs go hand in hand, so it really doesn't matter which one you pick. But I prefer that one as well.
Yeah, that's my go-to on that one. So number 3.
My number 3. You ready to hear this, bitch?
Nick's just looking at his fucking phone again.
I was looking at my list.
It's a song called Ghostbusters.
Oh, my God.
Yeah, but you're going to give me a curveball.
However...
here, and it's not the Ray Parker Jr.
However,
version.
it's the Run DMC version.
God damn it. Did you look at my list?
No, but it is written on my list.
That's Ghostbusters rap.
It's a fucking song.
I don't know what you mean by that.
You sound like an uncultured swine when you say
That's
that.
what it's always listed as.
No, it's not. It's just listed as Ghostbusters.
Do you know what a song is?
I always see it listed as Ghostbusters rap. I guess to distinguish it from the...
I mean, probably by people who are idiots, like fans.
But you're trying to trick people.
No.
Fucking sensitive
You misled
white
them.
people.
I don't fucking owe people anything. I'll mislead you. I'll fucking make up this whole list of songs I don't like. That'd be misleading.
We need to do that list.
Yeah.
Hey,
the Run
let's
DMC
see.
version's baller as hell. What's it listed as?
Oh, listed as Ghostbusters. Run DMC.
But I'm like, on YouTube and stuff, it always says Ghostbusters rap. So
That's
I always
because
thought
some
what it
jerk
was.
off uploaded it that way.
Yeah. Okay.
It's not uploaded by Run DMC. Yeah.
Goddamn fucking heathen over here.
So anyway,
That's
what's your
just
number 3?
Confusing. 1980, the movie Gigolo. Call Me by Blondie.
You son of a bitch.
Who's this fucking guy?
I don't know, man. He's got all this shit on here of songs I'd never fucking listened to.
But I didn't want to put what I figured you guys would put either.
Is this shit you actually listen to when you're driving around?
You suck.
Not necessarily out of my way, but I enjoy them, yeah.
Mm-hmm. Well,
your number 3?
My number 3 is Lindsey Buckingham, Holiday Road, for the film Vacation. Yeah. Fucking love that song. It's cheesy
not
as
bad.
fuck.
It's a
but
good
it's
little
fun.
It's a good little one.
Good little ditty for the time too.
I didn't think of that one.
I enjoy that one.
Yeah. It's all right. I can accept that one.
I can listen to that. If it comes on, I can hear it and enjoy it a lot. I've got it on a few road trip playlists just because it's a great song for the road.
I usually play it when I
Especially
take off for a road trip.
A holiday road trip. So.
Holy shit!
Number 2.
Number 2. This one's a little bit different because it's actually performed by a band in the movie. Still, however, written for the movie. We Are Sex Bob-omb by Sex Bob-omb, written by Beck. The band in the movie actually does perform the recording of it, but Beck wrote the song for Sex Bob-omb to play. The song is actually, I think it's actually called Launchpad McQuack in the, like he jokes that it's called that, and he says that's not the actual name of the song, but I think that is the actual name of the song in the graphic novel. And the graphic novel has descriptions of the songs too, so Beck like read those and then wrote songs based on how the band was described and their sound and shit. So
that's
pretty
excellent.
cool, and it's a great fucking track. So
nice shout out there.
What movie is this?
Scott Pilgrim versus the World.
Oh, okay. Been a long time since I watched that.
Dear, that's a great one.
I watched that recently. It's delightful.
Oh, we're covering that for Canada Day, right?
I mean, I figured we'd cover Strange Brew, but we already did.
Well, you and I talked about it one day. We said we're going to cover that in Canadian bacon.
Canadian bacon for Canada Day is amazing.
Mm-hmm.
I don't remember this, but hey.
What a surprise. It happened.
What's your number 2?
My number 2 is
Dickhead.
Justin's number 4. Don't You Forget About Me.
It's funny because you would think that'd be on my list, but I didn't put it on my list. But it's an honorable mention.
Very nice. So, what are we up to? Number 2 now?
Yup. 2 for you, Justin.
From the Top Gun soundtrack. Mighty Wings by Cheap Trick. That's an epic fucking song.
Are you just trying to be different putting that on there as opposed to one of the better songs on that album?
Mixing it up, man, but that's like such an like the
I'm just
montage
curious,
thing.
yeah.
Yeah, no, like that's one of my favorite songs on that soundtrack is that one. So
you would listen to this one over the other ones?
Danger Zone, Playing with the Boys. Take My Breath Away is probably my top track because the synth bass on that makes my back pussy wet.
Yeah, I mean the other ones I've heard so many fucking times, like I enjoy it a little bit less. So like Danger Zone, yeah, it's a great song, but you hear it so fucking much compared to some of the other ones, you're just like, kind of gets a little more credit than it should.
I think it's incredible.
It is,
it's
but
a fucking brilliant song.
I fucking heard it so many times. You forget, that was one of the first official VHS tapes I owned as a kid. Between that and Ghostbusters, I watched those all the fucking time, so... Yeah, you know.
Yeah, I guess. Cheap Trick. I don't know.
I'm not saying I like Cheap Trick otherwise. That's probably one of the only songs of theirs I'll actually genuinely listen to.
I'm not saying Cheap Trick's bad. I'm just saying, like, I would probably always pick Kenny Loggins over Cheap Trick for me. I mean, I realize some other people would say that Cheap Trick actually put out albums. Kenny Loggins mostly just did commercial kind of shit, but it's just one of those things. It's just one of those days.
All right. Nick? Or Alec?
Alec.
Number one.
Number one.
Number one. What's your number one?
Motherfucking 9 to 5 by Dolly Parton.
I was wondering if that was going to be on your list.
You're goddamn right. That song is a fucking hit. That's a goddamn slammer. That fucking song slaps. It's fire, as the kids say.
Yeah, I was going to say, that song does slap, man. That's such a good song. Like, that song works in 9 to 5, the movie, and then when you hear it again in Deadpool 2 and his fucking murder montage scene, still fucking holds up. Amazing.
I jam that song regularly in my car, as well as just other Dolly Parton. Dolly Parton's a fucking queen, and she's a national treasure. I will not tolerate anyone saying otherwise. So there you go. There you have it. There it is. What's your number one?
Ghostbusters.
By Ray Parker Jr.
But not the rap.
So in other words, that Huey Lewis in the News song is Nick's number one. I can't remember which one he ripped off.
I Want a New Drug.
Yeah, that's it.
Yeah.
Mm-hmm.
I Want a New Blunt, though.
Well, don't you always?
Yes.
So my number one song is Ghostbusters, performed by Run DMC, appeared in the Ghostbusters 2 movie and on the soundtrack, and it's
I ain't afraid no ghost.
A very delightful, refreshing update to that song, and many people have tried to cover the original song.
Yeah, I'd rather than
many
just create
times
something new.
failed, and this version keeps what you love about the original song and does something completely unexpected.
Well, because it is basically a hip-hop reworking and a cover all in one.
My only complaint about it is that generic siren in the beginning. I just wish it was the Ecto siren. But
yeah,
that's a small gripe.
They probably just didn't have access to that, and whoever the recording engineer / producer, it's a bunch of that.
Yeah, I mean, there weren't digital recording back then, so I mean, you're all analog, so you would have had to have gone on.
But I think that's not even a generic siren. That's like a European siren. So they were trying to put something else that sounded. They just didn't.
I meant not Ecto siren.
Well, yeah, but I'm saying I think what they did was they were trying to think of what the fuck is this siren, but they didn't realize
it was created specifically for
and if they went to a sound library, they may have just used whatever they fucking had available.
Well, exactly. You can tell they clearly were like, all right, well, it doesn't sound like an American siren. It sounds bizarre. It's like that line in fucking Answer the Call, a distinctly un-American siren,
Yeah, no, I think that song just does so well because, like, you've got the live instrumentation for it on the hip-hop song, right, the rap and everything there.
It's mixed well, too. Like,
yes.
There's a couple different versions. The mix isn't released they did, but they all sound great.
It works really well with the montage, too.
Yes.
Yeah, and that one really holds up. And, again, the original Ghostbusters song is like, it's so iconic. I just, you've heard it so many times.
Mm-hmm.
I probably would have put nothing but Ghostbusters songs on this list if I wanted to be dumb.
Well, yeah, I mean, I thought about doing lots of things from... I mean, it's like our honorable mentions here. I'll mention a few that I had on there, which were ones kind of what we already talked about, Back in Time, Danger Zone, but Party Man from Prince on the Batman soundtrack. It was very hard not to put that on there and put what I did put on there. So Cat People from David Bowie, which was later utilized in Inglourious Bastards.
I mean, just look at That Thing You Do. Like, that whole movie was written around one song, basically. Super catchy, too.
The Goonies.
Goonies are good enough.
Goonies are good enough. Cyndi Lauper. Maniac from Flashdance.
Yep. I mean, just look at Kenny Loggins stuff because...
Yeah, I'm All Right was almost on my list.
Yeah, I'm All Right. It's on there. That's from Caddyshack. He also did Footloose.
He also did Butthole Loose.
Did he help you make yours that way?
No.
No.
So that's the top 5 this week. Let us know what your top 5 songs written by for movies are, and we will argue with you or tell you have a shitty opinion or whatever else, we'll reply. We'll interact with you. We like interacting with people, so hit up our shit.
Yeah, hit us up. Talk shit on Nick. The more shit you talk to him, the better. Makes my day.
We're going to move on to the weekly segment.
We now return to the real Ghostbusters.
Diane, 11:30 a.m., February 24th. Entering the town of Twin Peaks.
Pretty good. Bill Murray's the funniest man on the planet.
Episode by episode.
We are on the journey into Twin Peaks.
Episode 3, titled Zen, or the Skill to Catch a Killer.
Sweet action.
My favorite thing about this episode is you finally start getting into some of the deeper, bizarre lore in this series.
Mm-hmm.
And I think it really throws people off based on the stuff you've seen before.
Diane, I'm holding in my hand a donut, which I'm going to mukbang while we talk about this. Continue on.
God damn it, he keeps trying to add this in here.
I'm an annoying asshole. Listen to me eat a donut. If you're on the audio or the visual feed, you'll see me doing very inappropriate things with the donut right now.
Please don't watch. We need to censor this, you sick fuck.
Do you have some for the whole class?
I don't.
Well,
they only had a couple left.
You don't need 2 saddlebags.
Of course I do. Everyone's going to be silent, so I'm going to eat right in here for you guys.
I thought that's what you wanted, was a moment of silence.
I would have brought a baguette to eat if I'd known this.
That sounds so fucking gross.
You can talk about this thing. So, there's a quiet dinner that the Horns are having when Jerry bursts in.
Jerry is Ben's eccentric brother.
Who's the Native American?
Hawk?
No, the person in the headdress. That's
Audrey's little brother, Johnny.
You can't see him in that image, but there's another flashback where you see him wearing the same headdress.
Okay.
Basically implying back to when Laura Palmer used to watch him. So that's the significance of that piece, if you weren't sure. That's okay. I asked Alec the same question, but then once I watched it and noticed the headdress later on, I was like, oh, okay.
Oh, I didn't notice it later on.
Has your child been on any drugs or alcohol?
Rose, hyper on 2. So, yeah, they're having this conversation. Jerry comes in with these sandwiches, and, he's just come back from France, and so he brings in...
France.
We come from France.
And
then they have these sandwiches, and it's interesting.
Brie and butter baguettes.
Yes, brie, butter baguettes. And they're reminded, Ben's reminded of a place that used to be down the street, and it explains why they enjoy it so much, because there's so much psychologically tied to comfort foods or foods that remind you of a happier time or a better place and nostalgia and everything else. And so that really plays out that's why when he shouts that out, they both get up and just ditch Ben's family and fucking go eat these sandwiches on their way to the strip club.
And by strip club, you mean whorehouse.
Yes, One-Eyed Jacks. Are we going to go to the casino first? No. Well, that's after they have their conversation about the deal falling through. He's like, I know something will cheer you up. They got a new whore at the whore house.
Yeah, he's like, I got a 50% chance of being the first to fuck her, basically.
Yeah.
And then he's like, are we going to go to the casino first? And then he's like, I didn't want to lose my shirt. I just came here to take it off. Waka, waka, waka.
And then they
Dead
have
air.
Conversation about the one-armed man from Hawk when he calls.
It wasn't me. It was the one-armed man.
That was an interesting piece there. Well, you stay there and stay up for watch.
Yeah, one-armed man, you start getting some of that, which is Mike/Philip Gerard, you'll find out, by the way. But Blackie's introduced too.
Mm-hmm. Yep, she runs the, I don't know if you want to call it a brothel.
It's basically Jack's.
One-Eyed Jack's is a brothel, yeah.
Cooper gets a note from Audrey, and I don't know if I just spoiled that But, yeah, that note that he gets that says Jack with one eye is from Audrey. Bobby and Mike go out into the woods and to exchange some...
Well, they go to do a
They
drug.
go to pick up the drugs without leaving any cash. It's kind of confusing exactly who's owing who what, but they're trying to make a deal with Leo or whatever.
Essentially,
they clearly buy drugs from Leo, so...
Well, it's Leo immediately anyway, because you see it's that deflated football he had in the last episode. He's stashed on top of the cabinets.
Yeah.
And so then he shows up, Leo shows up, and he's pissed about his money, and he's freaking out about everything. And he says basically, he's freaking about his money being gone, and he's also super pissed finding out that his wife's fucking around on him. Which is interesting, because each of these two are fucking each other's girls, and the other one doesn't know about it. And Leo's basically like, Bobby's like, hey, do you know who it is? And he's like, oh, okay, because he wants to make sure he's not going to die in that moment.
Yeah. You're out on the road. You get back in town, you find your old lady's been giving it away.
In your own bed.
And you also find out, by looking in the mirror, that you have a ponytail. Wouldn't you want to kill yourself?
Pretty much. My favorite part of this episode is when they get into the rock throwing sequence. And Dale Cooper gives his whole philosophy on this, which actually really goes into future Twin Peaks stuff. So really pay close attention to this if this is your first viewing of the series. So some of this, the whole speech about Tibet and learning about the monks and everything from the Dalai Lama and the spiritual being and everything there, that's really going to be critical to the future of this series. And if you know anything about David Lynch, like it's heavy in his personal life as well.
That whole scene and everything there is explained very eccentrically, I'll admit, but by Dale Cooper when he says basically, this whole thing came to me in a dream, a process of whatever he says. I can't even remember what he says because he says some weird shit. But he's
researching Tibet, and then he woke up with like this ability, basically.
Basically, it's ability, which isn't necessarily an ability as much as a. And I can't remember the way he described it, but basically like an energy connected. He's more metaphorical with it, but how he's about to go throw those rocks and shit, and with the energy, he explains kind of that, basically.
Yeah, and he does a good job basically saying, I'm going to throw these rocks here, and they're using the letter J just to try to figure out what this connection is.
Using the letter J.
So, and if he hits the glass bottle, this person is a person of interest in the investigation.
All he says is put a check mark by the name.
Mm-hmm.
And if he breaks the bottle, yeah.
It's a special mark, yeah.
Yep. And so that's very interesting there. And then obviously they cover One-Eyed Jack once they realize that. And there's that whole exchange about...
There's no eye in Jack.
Yeah, well, they're like, well, that's a place, not a person. So should I move from the list? And there's that whole yes kind of awkward thing there, which works pretty well because that's just her character and it really shows who she is. Like, yeah. And Dale is not really interrupted by that, but you think that he might be. I mean, everyone else is concerned that he's going to get pissed, but he stays pretty calm through the whole thing because he's got a lot of focus going on.
I do like when you see Audrey interacting with
Bobby?
No. My brain's just fucked right now for some reason. It just had a complete collapse because I'm eating a donut. No, Audrey talks to...
James?
No, Laura's best friend. What's her fucking name?
We're just going to let you think about it for a minute.
It's hilarious that I can't think of her name right now.
There's a
Donna.
J.
Fucking A. Yeah. God damn it. Donna. He's talking to Donna. She's talking to Donna about Cooper.
Yeah.
And she's like, Agent Cooper loves coffee. Because she wants to hop on his disco stick. And Donna's laughing at her. And then she turns on music and starts dancing around like a freak, basically.
Oh, in the
diner.
Yep. Okay. The other piece to this that's interesting is we're introduced to Albert here in person.
Albert is one of my favorite characters in this whole show.
He's great because he's kind of no nonsense, and then he even has this argument with the sheriff, and the sheriff's like, "Look, motherfucker, I've heard you're the best, so I'm going to let your bullshit slide." But he was really fucking pissed when he came in there running his trap, which just kind of shows you how Albert is. Like, all right, we're going to have to pull an all-nighter, and they're going to do another autopsy and kind of do toxicology, all that stuff, everything involved with that. So,
the way Albert talks is very, again, one of those characters that talks a very specific way. And he only gets more interesting as it goes on, but his introduction is always funny because it's kind of how I've felt when I've gone into rural areas. And shit, where you're like, oh, this is all fucking backwards. Is everybody fucking stupid here? Come on.
Yeah,
Keep up.
It's definitely unsettling when you see some of that shit in real life. You're like, oh, God, people do live like this? Is that what the Easter Bunny's really like? Yes. Yes, it is.
Normally, a guy talking this kind of crap, he'd be looking for his teeth 2 blocks up on Queer Street. That's what he says to him. Fucking Truman.
So the next interesting piece is obviously once you're in, that's the Black Lodge, correct?
Well, I would say there's a couple of little noteworthy points.
Okay, well, throw them out there, sir.
The drape runners bit.
Oh, yes, that's a very important piece.
So he fucking walks in there and drips oil on her drape runners and shit and gets it everywhere. And she's in there exercising just like being fucking manic and insane.
One of those vintage rowing machines. And like, yeah, she fucking just goes AWOL nutty.
Yeah.
And then they circle back to that later. And she's like yelling for him. And then she comes out and you're like, oh, fuck, she's going to come murder him right now, right? And then she comes out and she's like, oh, you're the greatest, you know? She's like, you got some of your oil on my cotton balls. And like, you see, the runners are silent now.
Mm-hmm. I'm going to make a fortune.
We're going to make a fortune.
She didn't think about greasing it. So.
We're going to make a fortune with this.
We'll have a coupon day.
I don't know what this note means, but I am going to say it. And if it means anything to either of you,
triggers
let me know.
anyone or rings a bell.
I just wrote down everything smells like fish. I don't know what the fuck I'm talking about.
Oh, aren't you talking about when he's back there talking about the percolator again? Up in their house?
Maybe.
Pete's house? I want to say that because he brings that up again.
Everything smells like fish. I don't doesn't ring a bell to me. I don't know. I don't remember what high me the other day was thinking when he wrote this down. But yeah, let's talk about Cooper's dream.
Cooper's dream.
In the, what people sometimes call the Black Lodge or the Red Room. Depends on who you talk to and ask, to be honest with you. But either way, we'll just call it the Red Room for now because that's clearly what it is. You can't argue that much. He has a badass tie on, and he's old.
Yes, he is aged there significantly.
He's supposed to be anyway. You know, it's TV aging effects, so what can you expect? But it looks pretty good for what it is, and it's unsettling and a little weird looking, you know, so it works.
Yeah, for the time frame, it looks good.
But before he's there, there's kind of like a explanation from the one-armed man, and he's talking about how he had a tattoo on his arm, and so did Bob, and he implies they did fucked up shit together, and then he wanted to stop, so he cut his arm off.
Yeah, he didn't want that tattoo and didn't want that connection anymore. Yeah.
So that's fucking a little weird and unsettling. Then he's kind of in the lodge there.
But I mean, in the lodge, you see obviously the chevron pattern floor, and then obviously the red curtains and drapes all around there. So
there's the World's Fair 1939 lamp on the desk, and like I said, he has a badass tie on. And then the arm is there, which that's what that guy is called. Some people also call him the man from another place. The little red guy, the guy in the red suit, who is a little fellow. He's obviously in reverse. The first thing he says is, after clapping, "Let's rock!" That it's more, backwards. So, and then he proceeds to say a bunch of weird, cryptic shit, which will pay off later.
Yeah, some of these things, you almost might want to write down some of what they're saying if you're trying to pay attention for future reference.
I know most of it, in my brain, what does he say? One of the things is, that gum you like is going to come back in style.
And it's really interesting because he's so unsettling as a character, and it's just the way they recorded the dialogue, right? It's not his physical presence or anything. I mean, he acts the role out very well, right? You believe what he's doing there, but with the way the audio is for the lines to be reversed and everything, it's really fucked up to view and like to try to comprehend.
Yeah.
And it works so well because you're like, oh, okay, we're getting strange here.
Laura Palmer also happens to be sitting in there. And I believe he says something along the lines of,
This is not Laura
my
Palmer.
cousin, but doesn't she look almost exactly like Laura Palmer? And then Dale says, but that is Laura Palmer. And then, are you Laura Palmer? And then she says, I feel like I know her, but sometimes my arms bend back. And then she gets up, walks over to him, whispers something in his ear, and kisses him. And is that where he wakes up?
I believe so.
The other guy, I'm trying to think of anything else that he might have said, the little guy. He said a couple other things after Let's Rock. That gum you like is going to come back in style. This is my cousin. Doesn't she look almost like Laura Palmer? Said something else in there too, I think.
Yeah,
but I can't
you
remember.
covered most of what's important there. So
that's when he wakes up and he calls Harry. Harry, I've reached the top. And he's like, I know who killed Laura Palmer. No, it can wait till morning. And spoiler alert, he forgets it. Opening next week's episode. So, no, it can't wait, motherfucker. This was always one of those things that was annoying to watch Cooper do. Some people do imply that it's not like he forgot. He did forget when he woke up already, and he basically knew that he had the answer in his head somewhere. But, it's just one of those David Lynch things. You don't know what the fuck's going on there until later on, so.
So, we will follow up more on that on the next episode.
It was episode by episode. Next week, we're doing number 4.
And we're not done with the David Lynch fun.
What do you mean you haven't seen this film supreme made up of a dream team? This movie's pretty great. You're fucking late. Let's accelerate and get it on your plate.
And you don't want us exposing ourselves. And you don't want us exposing ourselves. Exposing ourselves.
Yeah.
And you don't want us exposing ourselves.
Exposing ourselves to the 1990 David Lynch film Wild at Heart, which I have already seen, but they had not, so we're exposing them. I'm exposing myself to them. Live.
And it's still as scary as it ever is.
Mm-hmm.
So this is interesting because this was shot around the same time some of Twin Peaks was being shot, right?
Yep.
And so, obviously, with the TV series, you have other people working on the show. You're not going to be there to direct every episode. So he had some time to do another project, so this project came up. So there's some similarities here that go on, especially some familiar faces that pop up. So if you're interested in the world of David Lynch, I highly recommend checking this out as you follow along with Twin Peaks. But this does have a couple of big names. Nicolas Cage stars alongside Laura Dern and our favorite little creepster,
Willem Dafoe.
Willem Dafoe. And he is Dafoe in this one, not DeFriend.
Harry Dean Stanton. Small appearance by Crispin Glover.
Yep. Easy to miss at first.
By Sherilyn Fenn. Medium by Grace Zabriskie and David Patrick Kelly. So lots of little faces from Twin Peaks and stuff's in there. It's pretty interesting.
And as far as the Lynch films go, this one's pretty straightforward and linear. I mean, it has a pretty clear path start to finish with what's going on. There's obviously a lot of loose ends that he doesn't ever tie up. But if you're looking for something digestible to get into his filmmaking styles, this is a good place to start.
Yeah. Opens up at the, what is that, the Cape Fear Hotel?
Yep, and they do the interesting thing with the credits, though. They start out with, like, the blazing fire there, so, Wild at Heart, okay, so there's purely passion there, right? The burning heart type thing, that's what you get, so. But it starts up, man, and there's no fucking around once this thing's going. It's beautiful.
Fucking A, man.
Exactly.
Yeah, it reminds me a little bit of that scene in Drive when the guy smashes the guy's fucking head and caves in his fucking skull in the elevator. He fucking annihilates this guy who tries to kill him.
Yeah, and it comes out and basically you see Nicolas Cage, whose character's name is Sailor in this, and Sailor gets approached by this guy who starts talking shit. Oh, you're trying to fuck Lula's mom in the bathroom. And then he pulls a knife out on him, and Nicolas Cage just fucking beats his ass and fucking slams his head on the ground and spills his brains out everywhere, covered in blood. Eventually goes, gets convicted, goes to jail. They just cut right ahead to, what is that? 22 months, 18 days later, I think is what they say.
Yeah.
It's fucking grotesque. Like, we paused it on the head bashing scene, and it's fucking unreal.
Rewound.
Oh, we paused it there, too.
Touched ourselves.
You touched both of us. What are you talking about? I didn't do anything. It was called hands-free.
No one touched me?
Nick is my hands-free phone.
You sucked that guy's dick?
You can't see him on camera.
I'm under the table.
Under the bleachers.
So there's lots of... this is the movie that Laura Dern broke her topless thing, like her... whatever they call that. Klaus? Clause? Her clause. Her topless clause that she had in her contracts. And decided to show her boobs for David Lynch's film.
For most of the film.
Yes. Her character is very interesting. She always comments about, this is the most like sexual and confident character that she's ever played. It's fascinating.
Stimulating.
We'll just get that out the way because she's attractive to look at. Nicolas Cage is pretty decent looking for his time. This is like peak Nicolas Cage.
Yeah, he's young enough there. He's still like kind of just earning his starting man roles.
Around the late 80s, early 90s, he's like his most idealistic and handsome, Raising Arizona and stuff like to this. It's his peak in terms of even my favorite movies that he's done. So, but he's an underrated guy, I think. He gets a lot of credit too, but a lot of people meme on him, and it's a big meme in general to like him, or it's ironic that people like him. But he does stuff that's so versatile, and he's just really, really a crazy dude. So I like Nicolas Cage.
His character in this is interesting because he's very bizarre, but he's also like borderline an Elvis impersonator.
Yeah, and he has the classic.
This is a snakeskin jacket, and for me, it's a symbol of my individuality and my belief in personal freedom.
And he says that like 3 or 4.
Yeah, that comes up several times
in the
throughout the movie. Yeah, and it's interesting because he's got the snakeskin jacket on the whole time, and it's fucking ugly as sin. But it really defines his character, though.
It was Nick Cage's snakeskin jacket. He asked David Lynch if he could wear it, and David was just like, "Fucking sure." And it must have decided to put those lines in there and stuff. It's interesting for sure. Yeah. Willem Dafoe is creepy as fuck. Which is, that's not going to shock anyone to hear that, but...
a little extra creepy in this one.
Yeah, he's really rapey.
Yes.
So it's fucked up because there's a scene where you think he's going to rape Laura Dern, and he comes close to it. He definitely sexually assaults her.
Yes. This movie is one of those movies now, as you talk about rape culture and those things like that, and things that you wouldn't do these days... this movie's hard to find and get your hands on, right? It's not easy to stream.
I don't think that it would be not done. I think it would still be done these days because she even talks about how she's been raped as a kid in that movie, as a 13-year-old by fucking Uncle Pooch.
No, not that scene in particular. What I was talking about specifically was the rape flashbacks of when she's molested as a child. Like, there's a couple of flashback scenes in there that I think they would have told without showing if it was filmed now.
Yeah. Maybe not. Well, I don't know. It's David Lynch, though.
Yeah, he doesn't give a fuck. He does what he wants. But yeah, it just kind of... Some of those scenes are real fucking unsettling. It works for what the story it's telling, but...
Yeah, there's an abortion scene, too. And that's... all of it's just unsettling because you know what this fucking woman is dealing with.
And that's the thing, though, with her character. Once you understand all that shit she's been through, she's still insanely confident, still 100% in control of what she is as a character in this. So it's great to see that.
Yeah.
And isn't it her real mother that plays her mother in this, you said? So, who's another interesting character. She is so fucking nutty in this.
Mm-hmm. Yeah, I love the scene where she puts the lipstick all over her fucking skin and paints herself red.
Yep.
That's fucked up.
Yeah, so I mean, you see, like, obviously, like, layers of mental illness here, right? Which I think makes it so easy to see because you just feel like that's the kind of shit that's really happening to some degree, right? And that's why I say this one's easy to digest because there's some stuff that just translates to shit that's relatable to people.
Yeah.
So.
This one won the Palme d'Or at Cannes Film Festival. So that's pretty cool. Anytime a movie wins that, I'm like, oh, I'll probably give that a watch. And I don't mean like I've been around since the early 90s watching movies, but when I'm reading about movies and stuff, if I see that it's won that, I'm like, oh, well, maybe I'll give that a watch because usually it's pretty good shit. It's like a very artsy version of the Oscars, basically, or a pretentious version of it, I guess, even you could say. But it doesn't matter because it's movies like this and Pulp Fiction that win it. So you get this. Like, you should definitely just watch this movie and see what the fuck it's all about, because this is a very good, easy way to get into David Lynch movies.
Yeah, as far as the straightforward story goes, right, Sailor and Lula are basically, he calls her Peanut throughout the whole movie.
Hey, Peanut.
Basically, he breaks parole after he gets loose, and they go down to New Orleans, and they're just trying to escape, her mom, because her mom hates him, try to have him killed.
Yeah.
And, like, that's still her prerogative, is to have him removed from her daughter's life, because she's only 20 in this. And you kind of get that straightforward movie story going, and then they eventually get to Texas, where they're going. They're on their way to L.A., basically, they say, to escape to California.
Yeah.
And that's your straightforward story part, right? Just a young couple in love on the run. Okay, sounds pretty straightforward, right? Pretty doable. And then you get the surrealist stuff that really starts adding up. And in this case, it's all the Wizard of Oz. There's so much Wizard of Oz in this. And there's direct references, recreations of scenes, and things like that really just add a layer of what the fuck, but at the same time, it's very interesting when it arrives and when it shows up, that it just was like, you're not even like too confused by it like you could be in some other Lynch stuff, just because he does this throughout the entire film.
Yeah.
At certain moments. So that itself kind of tells its own story of that.
It kind of seems like Sailor is a little bit obsessed with Wizard of Oz.
Yes.
So he kind of has these like fantasies and sequences and sees stuff that other people don't, maybe, that's not even happening, like even when it comes to talking to people, because other people sometimes make Wizard of Oz references that seem out of nowhere. Like Jack Nance, the guy at the fucking campsite when they introduce Willem Dafoe, Jack Nance's character's there. I don't know what he's named in this or anything, but he's the old guy, Pete Martell from Twin Peaks, and he's there, and he says some random shit about Wizard of Oz. I don't remember what it is, and he's talking about some really weird shit.
The other interesting piece there is Lula, though, when after Willem Dafoe's character comes in there and really fucks with her. His name is Santos, right? That's his. No, that's the other
Santos,
guy.
The other guy.
Yeah. Okay. So, anyway, after he
fucking, what is his name?
I didn't write it down, but after he sexually assaults Lula, she clicks her heels 3 times, and she's wearing like red high heels. So
is it Bobby something?
Oh yeah, probably so.
I can't remember off the top of my head. It's something like that.
Oh, Bobby Peru. That's it.
Bobby Peru.
And that's a very iconic character, too, for Willem Dafoe, just based on his look, his mannerisms. A fun fact that Alex shared with me when we were doing this was that Willem Dafoe actually took a fucking leak into the toilet, and they got pissed because it wasn't a real toilet. It was just a fucking set, and he pissed in there, like, in the same room, so I thought that was hilarious.
Yeah, that's pretty weird. That's funny, though. Somebody had to clean that toilet.
Yes.
Dump it.
Well, I mean, do something with it. Fuck. Yeah, imagine being Laura Dern and Willem Dafoe's pissing in the corner right there. You're like, all right, cool, I guess.
Yeah, and some of the Wizard of Oz stuff, right? When there's a couple of dark moments that like almost repeat themselves. There's like this whole fascination with car accidents and people being hurt, right? Lula and Sailor drive up on one and they watch a girl die. And that's
Sherilyn
very,
Finn.
yeah, and that's really unsettling for Lula, and she's
clearly there with like brain damage, and it's like it's stressful, like seeing her wander around and repeat stuff like, "Don't tell my mom about this," because she's fucking bleeding out her fucking head, and like,
yeah, and you
a
can
dead
see
guy, like
it's a night shot, so you can't really see, but you can tell that they had like some prosthetics for like the hole in her head because like at one point in time it looks like she can almost put her fingers in his head when she's looking for a comb.
Yeah, she's like, there's something gooey in my hair.
Yeah, it's like feels like sticky, I think is what she said.
Yeah.
Right?
Sticky hair.
And yeah, that's really unsettling to watch, especially for Lula. Like you can see her character really has a tough time with that. And then later on, you see a couple other wrecks in there that really kind of resonate. So there's certain things that are kind of on repeat on loop here. And they all kind of tie back into Wizard of Oz stuff. So like when they're driving along that road before that accident, I believe is when they see the Wicked Witch like flying along on the broomstick.
Oh yeah.
And I don't know who played the Wicked Witch. The girl that played Laura Palmer actually plays the Good Witch at the end of the movie.
That's like another person that I forgot to write down that's in there, but that's literally like a million people from Twin Peaks already. So.
And then like the only moment in this movie that I started getting pissed was, at the end, once Sailor comes back to Lula and Pace, that's their kid, and he decides it's not worth it. He's leaving. And I'm
After
like,
he gets out of jail, yeah.
fuck? Like, you just met your kid and you want to leave it? I'm like, what a fucking asshole. And then obviously he goes and has a change of heart and has like a spiritual moment between seeing the Good Witch that tells him to like believe in love.
Well, after he gets his ass beat by those guys who are potentially like some otherworldly shit as well, because they are there to kick his ass to make him go back to his child.
Yes, they are there. They do that right, and they all kind of, the way they follow him and pattered him there, they're not robbing him.
They broke his nose, and he's like, I want to thank you for teaching me a lesson, boys.
Yeah, which is very interesting. So
it's basically Nicolas Cage playing Elvis in Wizard of Oz combined with True Romance.
Yes.
And a lot of Laura Dern's tits. And that's my review right there.
Yeah, it kind of reminds me of True Romance a little bit.
Yeah. It has that early 90s road trip, violent, we are fucking obsessed with fucking each other vibes. I mean, Tarantino was a David Lynch fan, so...
It's a good film. The only thing that I find, his Elvis impersonation gets kind of fucking old, but it's not so overbearing the entire time that it distracts you too much.
I think it's very distracting at first.
Once you get
20, 30 minutes in, you're kind of used to it, especially if you have watched a lot of Nicolas Cage stuff where he does a lot of weird, bizarre shit anyway, so you can get used to it, but...
Yeah.
It definitely sticks out.
What was his accent in, what was that vampire movie he did?
Vampire's Kiss?
Yeah. He had some weird accent.
And that's the one where he goes, "You don't say."
And he says the alphabet. He's got some weird accent in that one, too.
Yeah, he's eccentric on his own anyway, so him playing this role, like, it takes a little bit. Like, if I watch this again, it wouldn't be as bothersome just because I had to get used to him as that character. But like Alex said, yeah, once you're 20, 30 minutes in, like, you're okay, like, okay, whatever.
I was the same way with Laura Dern's voice, but that's only because it's one of those very southern accents, so...
Yeah. When she's trying to talk real soft and subtle.
Yeah.
So... Definitely recommend checking it out, though.
Definitely recommend checking it out.
Definitely watch that one if you can find it.
This is a snakeskin jacket.
So... definitely, if you are watching this on our YouTube, comment below. Give us some comments or something. Talk to us.
Yeah, let us know what you think.
Insult us. Tell me you hate me for all I care.
Have you seen Wild at Heart? What's your favorite David Lynch film?
And if you're not, just going to remind you again that you can watch us on our YouTube, youtube.com/thefrogbros. We also have toy reviews, other movie reviews that aren't on our podcast feed. And you get to see us. Sometimes I play with my tits while we record.
If you want to watch Alec eat the donuts, watch the video.
And I tongue the donut holes. We do that. Also, give us a review on iTunes, because we need more of those. I think we only have like one written review on iTunes, and we're almost at a year. And I don't want to have to cry on this podcast and beg you to do things like that.
Yeah.
I will. I'll do it.
Do it.
Don't make me do it. I can't even find the do it button. There you go. Do it. And it has like a bunch of whom at the beginning. But anyway, I don't think we have much else to say. Just check out our shit. Get into some of our shit.
We've got some, A lot of YouTube exclusives coming soon, don't we?
Maybe not a lot, but we do have some.
Well, we got some trips that we'll have videos for. We got
we got some trips coming up
Godzilla,
for
King
sure.
Kong coverage.
Yeah, Godzilla vs. Kong. We're gonna start doing Kaiju Vision versions of Spectre Vision, doing some Godzilla films. Maybe trying to have some guests on to talk about some of those and stuff too. We've reached out to a couple new guests, which we won't tell you who those are now, but we'll get into that later. We're having another trip, which is more of a surprise. We'll be announcing later on, so look forward to that. We'll see you next time.
Take care now. Bye-bye then.
These are my dinner guests, the Frog Brothers. Frog Brothers, Frog Brothers. These are my dinner guests, Frog Brothers. Frog Brothers, Frog Brothers. These are my dinner guests, the Frog Brothers. Frog Brothers, Frog Brothers. These are my dinner guests, Frog Brothers. Frog Brothers, Frog Brothers. These are my...
Shut this off. Shut these all off.